Fortnite creative mode is getting better than ever. The state of Unreal or Unreal Fest just happened this past week from June 2nd to 5th, and they've announced a plethora of amazing stuff. It just appears that Epic just really does not play around with the upgrades and the updates that they really want to release and give developers and independent developers really just full control of their creative experiences. Let's dig into our top 4 stuff that we really think are going to change the way we make games from now on. But keep in mind that these things are not going to be released right now. They're going to be rolled over this year and the next year. So it's still going to be a little while before we actually get our hands in all of these amazing things. So let's stay tuned, and we're really excited. Fourth, and probably the most conceptual of all of the changes that Epic is bringing into Fortnite, is scene graph. That's basically the first mega step that Epic is taking towards creating this sort of like metaverse. I don't want to call it that because meta is meta, but it's like the Epic verse, let's put it this way, the Fortnite verse. We can now include logic and programming into objects themselves, and we can create copies of those things, of those entities that we create, and even share them with other creators and share them within islands themselves. So you could technically just build yourself a car and just drive from an island to another and to another, and then you can like bring into different ideas. This world can kind of coexist within itself and not necessarily just be tied into just this one island, this one game that you've created. You will be able to just jump around with things, with objects, maybe even with like save states from an island, a map, to another, from a creator to another. So it really is like a Fortnite verse, if you will. Now, obviously, this brings a lot of creative opportunity for developers, and they are going to be having a blast, including our own developer who's going to be having a lot of creative ideas along the years with how can you create things and new ways to develop games to make them very interesting. But from the gaming perspective as well, from the gamer perspective, I guess I could say even from my perspective, means that we're going to be having a whole new experience within Fortnite. It's not just going to be just, well, selecting your own game like in the menu and just playing whichever, like, oh, this game looks fun, and you switch and you just kind of have like a big library. But you're gonna have like this entire universe of islands that you're going to be able to transfer from one to another. I've mentioned cars, but it could be bosses, it could be NPCs, it could be buildings, it could be different guns, different weapons, different abilities. And this could really change the way that we play the creator islands on Fortnite. In third place, this one is actually kind of pretty exciting. It's the new IPs that are going to be released into Fortnite. And this is something that I particularly was looking after playing this entire season of Star Wars. And I'm an absolute fan of Star Wars. I really love the lore and the world building. I think the aliens are extremely creative. I just really enjoy most things Star Wars, and lightsabers and the Force are obviously included in all of that. The fact that Battle Royale, the island, has ended, and now we don't have the guns anymore, we don't have the Force, we don't have masters like Jedi training or whatever. They just go into the rift and then you leave. But then they're going to release those things into Fortnite, and they're going to start, obviously, as they mentioned in the Fast, Avatar: The Last Airbender. And that is something that I wasn't able to play, but apparently a lot of people were saying this online, that they just really enjoyed the mechanics of like bending the elements. And I am pretty sure I would love to do that too, because Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of the best cartoons ever created. I love the story. It's just simply fantastic. And if we're able to like create things that we're going to be able to create in our own universe within Fortnite, play with those abilities, and imagine everything, all those together. I'm not entirely sure how they would blend in. Like maybe you'd have to like create separate IPs. You would be able to actually mix Avatar: The Last Airbender with Star Wars. But imagine if you could, like, you'd have like a lightsaber versus, and like a force wielding person versus a earthbender and an earthbender, and then like a firebender, and just like fighting in those different ways. I think that it's an extremely ambitious idea, and it's great that they're putting in the work to bring in those intellectual properties, because God knows that in the entertainment industry, one of the most difficult things to get is collaborations, because all of these worlds that exist, and how amazing it would be if we get like all of these together, or like if hypotheticals online, who's the strongest, like what's the best ability, and if that's something that we can kind of test out on Fortnite and just see for ourselves. Major props for Epic for going after those things, which they could just very well just build their own thing, but they just really went after the actual intellectual property. So really, really excited for this one too. For the second place, something that every gamer has encountered, every game has made fun of, every game has tested when they get a game is physics. Who doesn't go over and there's like just the invisible wall and like, or just like wonky physics? Somehow like you shoot a table and you get launched like 30 feet in the air at like 200 meters per second. It's physics in gaming. And they're adding new physics that are going to be able to have more interaction, and developers are going to be able to program more into it, which means, games are going to start looking very distinct from each other. Ideas are going to start looking very distinct from each other. And we are going to start getting new styles of gaming as well. I am a big sports fan and I love sports games. So this could potentially allowed for sports games to exist within Fortnite. And imagine Rocket League, which I believe was an indie game at first. Imagine having your own Rocket League version, like your own creative style of people making all sorts of weird games and an amalgamation of like all styles and stuff, just because you add this like one simple element that is obviously not very simple, probably from the coder part is very complicated. I'm not a coder, so I can't speak for it, but that really leaves me very excited because it just possibilities. Just have this platform like Fortnite be the area where people get to share their own creations and that creative outlet that they have, that creative vision that they have for those things. And physics is a very important part of gaming. And a very concrete example that is Breath of the Wild, and probably more even better than that would be Tears of the Kingdom, where physics is a major part of the game. You can build your stuff in Tears of the Kingdom. In the Breath of the Wild, you had physics-based puzzles and things like that. You just like kind of to be turning around your controller like this so that things kind of have to move in that sense. You are going to be able to pull off stuff like this inside of Fortnite. Isn't that amazing? Like just this one developer that we have, if he puts in enough work, enough hours, you could be able to like create games that would have physics that are just as amazing as Breath of the Wild. Obviously, being one person, this game would probably not be as large as that, but just creating like small little things like that. And the fact that Epic is developing the Unreal Engine, which is completely free, by the way, for people to just enjoy and putting that work and putting their heart into it is something that is, again, just really exciting and just really makes you look forward for the future. This is like true innovation. And number one, and I think this is number one, mostly because of its hilarious potential that it has. Of course, because we have already seen this happening inside of Battle Royale. Personas, AI personas inside of Fortnite. Yes, that is it. Like AI is going to be able to talk to you. AI is everywhere now. We do AI for vastly anything. Epic was not behind in the conversation inside of Fortnite. If you remember, Darth Vader was a hilarious addition to Battle Royale because you could speak to Darth Vader and he had its iconic voice and he would speak the way Darth Vader speaks.
Darth, what do I do if I have 1 health?
Perhaps you should have considered that before running around with a pink flamingo head.
It was just hilarious and you could interact with him. And are we going to be able to put this in our own games inside of Fortnite? Isn't that amazing? Like in Fortnite Creator, we are going to be able to create our own versions of Darth Vaders or any other personalities that we are able to imagine. And that's really basically what comes into it. Like we can create different puzzles, we can create NPCs that are able to change the story in the way they interact with them, or they can lock you out of a certain phase if you're not nice to them, or if you can even just have like the possibilities. You can have NPCs that are angry at you and you need to calm them down. You need to like really use your brains to like solve some puzzles or like talk them into doing what you want them to do. Or they could just be like funny additions, And that really reminds me of this game called High on Life by the creator of Rick and Morty. And he just had a gun that like would incessantly be talking to you. Imagine that you could just have something like this, like an NPC that would just be a fun dude who would just get on your nerves and talk crap all the time. I think it'd be hilarious. It's just giving possibilities. That's the whole thing about Fortnite, and that's the whole thing about Epic with Unreal. It's just giving possibilities to creators. And giving possibilities to creators means that gamers have possibilities as well. We have more to play around with. We have more things to discover. We have more experiences to be had. And there's one single platform that exists in Fortnite. And imagine other companies would decide to do something similar to that as well. Like, because the idea is just really to bring everybody together where gamers and developers can really just talk to each other and exchange ideas. And through that, we are able to create new things people really want to see. Yeah, that's it. I'm very thankful that Epic is doing that for gamers and for developers, and I just can't wait to see what other innovation they come up with in the future. I'm pretty sure that Sergio is even more excited than I am because not only is he playing this game, but he's got his hands full with the Unreal Engine and developing the games that we're gonna put up in the future. So thanks so much for watching. Andre here. Thanks for tuning into Zoo Games and playing our games. See you guys next time. Bye.